There is only one perfect solution, but there are clues that will try to trick our team.
Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to Recursive Password. This is the way the module looks. It looks like a sideways password here with a toggle button down on the bottom of the in the bottom left here. So each of these buttons, each of these displays are going to have the ability to cycle through 5 different letters present on them. In this case, the top left will represent the first position. Going bottom right will go to the second position, third position, fourth position, and fifth position, and so on and so forth. However, it's not that simple, and we're not going to be entering in one specific password with these word lists, but rather, what's going to happen here is that we're going to get all of the letters. So in this case, let's get the first column, Charlie, Alpha Delta Yankee Juliet, Alpha Delta Yankee Juliet. And any order that you get them in doesn't matter as long as you get all the letters in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so Hotel Golf India Echo Kilo, Hotel Golf India Echo Kilo, Victor Zulu Alpha Kilo Alpha, Victor Zulu Alpha Kilo Alpha. We've got Sierra Echo Mike Papa X X-ray, Semp X. Get this right. Okay, and then finally Sierra Echo Yankee Zulu Delta. Sierra Echo Yankee Zulu Delta. Now, writing this out is going to be very, very helpful for you because the way that this module works is well advised that you actually get this out in the sequence here. So what's going to be happening here is when arranged properly, the letters of each column will contribute a letter to a word in the word bank below, with the first column represent the first letter and so on and so forth. So in this case, the first letter representing the first letter in here in the word, and second letter and so on and so forth. So that's one way that can help limit you with your series of options, which we will get into in just a moment here. But what's going to happen here is, however, this feature does not work as intended. Each word will have a letter that is not what it is supposed to be. Faulty letters may be within the same column, and faulty letters will not appear in the first column. So what's essentially going to happen here is there's going to be a bunch of different cases where what's going to happen is we're going to be able to get 4 out of the 5 letters of a specific word, but one of them is going to be faulty and one of them does not work. However, with this information, the faulty letters will not appear in the first column, so we know for a fact that we're only going to be limited to Charlie words, Alpha words, Delta words, Yankee words, and Juliet words based off of this module here. And there is 2 of each letter here, so we've got Champ and Chill for Charlie, we've got Abyss and Agape for Alpha. I believe it's Agape. Or I might be thinking of Agave, but it might be Agape. I'm not quite sure. Don't question me in the comments. Devil and Dizzy for Delta. Yankee is going to be Yawns and Yeast, and Juliet is going to be a Jives and Joked. So that's what's going to be happening here. So we're going to be limited to these words just from the first column alone. What we must do here is we must identify the faulty letters based off of these series of columns. And essentially what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and spell out each individual word, and we're going to figure out which one is missing. And we're going to try and do that in a very particular way. So let's take a look, and let's actually zoom in here. First off, let's try and spell Abyss with just these letters here, starting with the first position, second position, third position, fourth position, and fifth position. Each of the columns representing each position. So Abyss. Now, one thing that's very important is that you will only be missing 1 letter from each word. There will be 5 words total. You will only be missing 1 from each word. So Abyss. So A, B, there's no B in the second column. There is no Y here. So that's not going to be our word here. So that means our word is going to be Agape. So we can do A-G-P-E, A-G-A-P-E. Now, all letters do actually appear, but what's likely going to happen here is that there's going to be some case where there is a duplicate, where the letter ends with the exact same case. So this is likely going to be, we're going to have to come back to this, but Agape is our word for A. We know that for a fact. We just don't know which letter we need to deduce, which we will get back to in a moment. This one, there is a way that you can actually determine the correct position, but you have to save it for last. So next up for Charlie, Champ or Chill. Let's see which one we can spell. We can do Charlie Hotel Alpha Mike, but there's no Papa on this last column. So in this case, we can get Cham, And the last one is missing is going to be some variation. We don't know exactly which letter it corresponds to. But what we do know with this information is the letters that the faulty ones replace, when rearranged, will also be within this word list. So essentially what's going to happen here is we will be missing a letter from each of these word lists here, and we will take the letter that we're missing from that specific word. In this case, with champ, we're missing papa here. We're going to note down papa for right now because we know for a fact that we're missing this. The letters that are the faulty ones will not, when rearranged, will also be within this word list. Pressing the toggle button will allow you the module to enter the mode, and when we figure out all of the faulty letters that are missing, we need to figure out which word to submit. And that's going to be the way that this works. It will be forming another word here, but we don't know we don't know that based off of the information. So we know we're going to be using champ, and we know we're using agape. We just don't know which ones these are corresponding to yet. Next, let's try and spell devil. Let's try and spell devil. Missing a Victor and an India. We cannot do anything with that. So devil is not the word. Is it dizzy? It is indeed dizzy. Yes. So we have Delta, India, Zulu. We're missing the Zulu in the fourth column, and we've got the Yankee in the last one. Okay. So dizzy is going to be our word. The letter that we're missing from here is a Zulu. Okay. So now, let's continue. So next up, we have Papa and Zulu there. That's pretty good. So next up, we have Yankee words, yawns or yeast. I could see it being yeast. Last word being tango here. So tango. In this case, we've got Yankee Echo Alpha Sierra. Now, hold on a minute. This is not correct because of the fact that if we were to use champ, or actually, it might be different. It can only be used once, I believe. Every letter can only be used once. So in this case, this would not work for yawns, or this would not work for yeast. However, yawns doesn't work either because of the fact that there's more than one case of a missing letter. So it has to be yeast, I believe. Which means that the third one is the missing one, so it's an alpha. And then finally for Juliet, jives or joked. I can see jived. Jives does actually give us some results. However, this is a bit of an interesting one. But based off of this information, just from looking at our word here, the stuff that we've gotten from beforehand, they will be scrambling into one of the words in the word list here. And so far, we already have 4 of the 5 characters that match topaz. Now, how does jives work? It's got to be joked then, because of the fact that it just doesn't work with all these other cases. So J, there's no O, there is a K, there is an E, and there is a D. Yes. So in this case, our word is joked. For the Juliet here, this would be yeasts. So that means our word is going to be corresponding to the second position of joked, which is an O, and we have these letters here. Now, just to be clear, these letters are the ones that were missing from each of these words that we had determined. In this case, this gave us the result of topaz. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit toggle, and we're going to simply submit that into the module. So all you're essentially doing here is you're getting all of the letters from the display from beforehand, and what you're going to do is you're going to try and figure out which words corresponding in this table here are able to form at least 4 letters, and you're going to try and determine the missing one, the one that is just not there. Now, because you don't know exactly which faulty letter, you don't know exactly which letter corresponds to which letter in this position. It's a bit tricky to explain what I mean. You're finding the letters that are missing within each word. With that information, you're going to spell another word. In this case, topaz. You're not looking for letters. You're not looking for the letters that correlate in each of these positions here in like the other 4 columns. You're not looking for that because there may be cases where you don't know what associates with what, and the fact that there can be 2 in one column, that's going to cause problems. So in this case, let's spell out topaz. Topaz. And we'll hit the toggle button again. And just like that is a solved module. Hopefully I'm able to explain that quite well enough. Just remember that you're looking for the letters that are missing. You're looking for the letters that are missing in each of these words. So let's take one more look. Now I'm not sure why the yeast case of there was 2 A's. That's right. There was 2 A's. So there is the possibility of there being obviously duplicate letters. I did not see that. So YEA. You can obviously do Charlie, Hotel, Alpha. That's kind of why I was a little bit hesitant on it, because of the fact that I'm like, wait, there's only one Alpha, and then I just didn't realize that there was another one right down there. So my bad on that. But yeah, there is going to be the probability of there being 2 letters. But if you happen to get a case where like 2 positions share the exact same letter, just keep that in mind. You have to check which one would prevent it from being spelled correctly if there was 2 letters missing, for example. Let's take a look at one more example. But overall, a fairly simple mod to understand, and it's actually quite fun to do. I quite like this mod a lot, and overall, a very pleasant mod to do. So let's get our letters here, and for right now, just to make my life a little bit easier, I'm gonna do rows. I'm gonna do it another way. Let's do it in rows, and we're starting to read it. We're gonna try and read it down essentially. So Whiskey, Charlie, Hotel, Oscar, Bravo, Chub, Delta, Hotel, X-Ray, Tango, Echo. Hotel, X-Ray, Tango, Echo. I did it the wrong order. Golf, Alpha, Alpha, India, India. Okay, G-A-A-I-I. Wow, all right. I have a hunch that there's going to be vowels in this position. So Echo, Mike, Romeo, Kilo, Victor. Romeo, Kilo, Victor. And finally, Uniform, Echo, Romeo, Hotel, Tango. Uniform, Romeo, Hotel, Echo, Tango. Okay, so let's just start from the first word, whiskey. Whiskey has wager and wealth. Which can we spell, please? So wager can be spelt, but it's missing the alpha. So we've got whiskey. There is no alpha in the second position. There's golf, there's echo, and there's Romeo. So wager is missing an alpha. We're gonna note that down. Next up, Charlie. Charlie is champ. Champ is going to be the case again. So Charlie, Hotel, Alpha, one of the 2 alphas used. Mike, and it's missing Papa. So in this case, Papa is going to be our second letter. Next up for Hotel. Hotel is going to be a heart or hocus. Heart, Hotel, Echo, Alpha, Romeo, and Tango. Okay, we're going to have to come back to that. Because the other word cannot be spelled. So we're going to come back to heart. We don't know exactly what the problem here is. And let's make sure we have not used any other words that have used Romeo yet. So in this case, that's looking promising so far. In the meantime, let's go to Oscar. Oscar is obeys or otaku. OT, one of the A's potentially. Kilo and uniform. Okay, so it's very likely that A is going to be another letter here. I'm not quite sure. It might be leaning towards agape because of the fact that there are 2 A's in here. I'm not sure at the moment. So we'll have to come back to that, but it is going to be corresponding to otaku, I believe. Because the other one doesn't make sense. There's more than 2 letters missing from obeys. And finally, Bravo. Beige or below. It's looking like a beige because we have to use the India at some point. So Bravo, Echo, India. There is no golf. And there is an echo here that's missing. So in this case, golf is going to be our third one. And you can kind of already determine a lot of what you're looking at just from being able to figure this out. So we know for a fact that for beige, we were missing the golf in the 4th position. So we know for a fact that we did end up using this echo. What was I going with this? So for beige, we end up using an India. Let me think how to describe this. So, was there anything we end up? Yes. So here's what we can determine. So with beige, Bravo, Echo, India, missing the golf, and an echo here. This second position, we use the echo here. Heart is supposed to use a second echo. We do not have a second echo in the second position. So therefore, echo is the missing word for that one. We know for a fact that we use the Romeo and the Tango, and we use the alpha here, as well as champ uses the other alpha. So we know for a fact that for otaku, the missing letter is going to be the alpha. There's supposed to be 3 alphas here, but in this case, there is not. And this is where we get APGEA, which corresponds to agape. So let's spell it out. AGAPE. And just like that is a solved module. So that's what you can do. You can kind of determine what's missing just kind of based off of the letters that are used in other words. And then that's kind of how you just figure it out. In this case, I kind of knew it was going to be agape. You can kind of figure out just from 3 or 4 letters You really don't need to do all of the work. It definitely can be shortened, but that is the way that you would do this. A fairly simple mod to understand and do. It might be a little bit weird with referring how faulty ones work. Yeah, each word will have a letter that is not supposed to be where it is. That is not what it is supposed to be. Faulty letters may be within the same column, and faulty letters will not appear in the first column. The letters that the faulty ones replace when rearranged. So the ones that are faulty, the ones that they are replacing is what you note down. Just to make that clear. I'm trying to make that as clear as possible. You're noting down the letters from the words that are missing. Hope that makes sense. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.